So everyone's heard of Invisalign, but what about all the other clear aligner brands that are making big promises? Are they just knockoffs, or are some of them actually better? Today we'll compare Invisalign with the new wave of clear aligners. We'll talk about materials, software, and features, and then we'll figure out which one is really worth it. Hi, I'm Dr. Jeremy Manueli, board-certified orthodontist and dentofacial orthopedist, and I'm glad you're here. Okay, so let's back up and walk through a quick history lesson. The earliest clear aligners weren't even called aligners. They were basically just modified clear retainers. Back in the day, the only way to get a model of your teeth was to take an impression. Then we'd have to pour it up in stone and physically cut out individual teeth from that model and move them. So once orthodontists would adjust them a little bit, we'd then hold them in place with wax, and then we'd make a new clear retainer over the top. So when you put that clear retainer in your mouth, it would actually move that one tooth just slightly. And that was it. It was a one tooth at a time game. So Invisalign took that primitive concept and said, well, what if we could do this on a computer and move all the teeth at the same time, step by step? And when they launched, they basically used a digital version of the old wax and stone workflow, manually shifting teeth one by one in a computer model. And as technology improved, the process got better, faster, and more precise. But plastic isn't just plastic. The type of material can make aligners more comfortable, stronger, or practically invisible. And this is where things start to get interesting, because materials matter. One of the first biggest lessons we learned in clear aligner therapy was that not all plastics are created equal. Some materials are super clear but crack easily. Some are durable but don't look as nice. Some create stronger forces, which can be uncomfortable. And others are too weak to move teeth predictably. Invisalign developed their own proprietary plastic called SmartTrack, which is a multi-layered plastic and was a big step forward compared to traditional single-layer plastics. But since then, a lot of companies have been experimenting with their own materials. Some are thinner, some are more stain resistant, and some are designed to hold force longer. And now we've entered a brand new era of direct 3D printed aligners. Instead of heating up that plastic sheet and vacuum forming it over a stone model of your teeth, companies can now print the aligner itself directly. That means insanely accurate fit, and in many cases, it even reduces or eliminates the need for attachments. So we'll come back to that in a minute. Now, if you're seriously considering improving your facial balance and smile, or correcting bite issues the right way, our team at Hamilton and Manueli Orthodontics can help. If you're in Las Vegas, head over to hmortho.com to book an in-person consultation. And if you're not local, go to vegasorthodoc.com. There you can upload your records securely, and we'll review everything together remotely to see what's actually possible for your face and smile. Okay, so of course, the plastic alone can't do all the work. That's why attachments exist. But are those little bumps actually helping, or just making the clear aligners look a lot more like braces? So what even are attachments anyways? Attachments are those little tooth-colored bumps glued to your teeth when you start aligner treatment. They act like little handles so the aligner can grip and move the tooth more effectively. Now, Invisalign has a whole library of patented attachments, shapes, and sizes, and they work really well. But here's the reality. Some patients end up with attachments on almost every single tooth. And honestly, if you're gonna have all those glue bumps all over your teeth anyway, and wear aligners that make them even more visible, you might wonder why not just get braces. That said, attachments are helpful and most aligner systems use them. But here's where things are shifting. With newer direct print clear aligners, the fit is so precise that in many cases, you don't need any attachments at all, which means no extra bumps, no extra bonding, no extra appointments, no staining, and a much cleaner, more crisp look. But even with attachments, aligners can't do everything on their own. That's where elastics, cutouts, and built-in buttons come into play. And some companies are taking this to a whole new level. So historically, another challenge we ran into was that clear aligners alone couldn't correct every kind of bite problem. For example, sometimes you need rubber bands to fix an overbite or an underbite. Invisalign solved this by creating something called precision cuts, which are little notches in the aligners so that you can hook elastics or even combine aligners with braces on just a few teeth. And that opened up a lot of doors for creative orthodontists to start combining techniques. Aligners on most of the teeth, but maybe a few auxiliaries or braces or buttons in the back or in other strategic spots. Other companies have followed suit, and now we're even seeing cooler innovations. Angel Aligners, which is a newer company to the United States, came out with something called integrated buttons. So instead of cutting a hole in the aligner and gluing a button to the tooth directly, the button is actually fused onto the aligner itself. Now that's pretty slick. But still, the aligners themselves aren't magic. The real difference often comes from the software designing your treatment. And here's where Invisalign and competitors truly diverge. So let's talk about the software behind the smile. Here's something most patients don't realize. The aligners themselves aren't the magic. The software that designs the treatment plan is what really matters. Invisalign's ClinCheck software is excellent, and honestly, even orthodontists who don't use Invisalign will admit it's probably the most polished software out there. But being the biggest company also means their software has to be rigid enough to handle millions of cases across thousands of different doctors. Smaller, newer companies like ULab have taken a different approach. Their software is more customizable, giving orthodontists almost complete control. That means if your doctor knows what they're doing, they can actually tailor your treatment plan down to the tiniest detail. This flexibility can shave months off your treatment time. And there's actually a pretty big difference in workflow as well. So with Invisalign and really most major aligner companies, there's a standard workflow in place. You scan your teeth, you get your aligners, and you wear them. And then after maybe 20 or 30 trays, you usually need something called refinements. That means you have to come in, we rescan, we reorder, we wait another 4 to 6 weeks, and then you get your next set of clear aligners. And most patients actually go through this same process at least 2 or 3 times during their treatment. Some go through it up to 5 or 6 times. If you're one of those people who had more than 6 refinements, tell us your story in the comments because there's gotta be something else going on there. And hopefully you're not one of my patients. Okay, but here's the thing. With customizable software like ULab, your orthodontist can adjust your plan on the go. It's something I call chairside refinements, and that means fewer delays and faster treatment overall. But what about more complicated cases like big overbites? This is where modern aligners are breaking new ground and even replacing bulky appliances that we used to rely on. So let's talk about mandibular advancement and beyond. One cool feature both Invisalign and some other newer companies now offer is something called mandibular advancement, which is basically using aligners to posture the lower jaw forward to correct big overbites. This used to require bulky metal appliances like the Hearst. Now, aligners can do it more comfortably, and that is a huge win for patients. And as the technology evolves, we're seeing more and more cases that can be treated with aligners that previously were considered too complex. I honestly hate it when patients come in and say, "Oh, I was told I'm not a candidate for clear aligners." 9 out of 10 times, it's just simply not true. It usually just means that the doctor they saw wasn't really comfortable treating that case with aligners. The truth is, with the right doctor and the right tools, almost anything can be done with clear aligners today. Direct printed clear aligners are pushing the limits of accuracy, comfort, and customization. So let's talk about the future of clear aligners and where this is all going. In fact, we just did an entire video on this, so if you want to take a deeper dive, check out this video here. But right now I'm going to give you the highlights. Traditionally, all clear aligners were made by heating up a flat sheet of plastic and molding it over a model of your teeth. That method works, but it also has its limits. Direct print aligners skip that step. They're basically printed directly, layer by layer, with proprietary resin-based materials. The accuracy is next level, and the mechanical properties are off the charts. And get this, even customizable. And because they hug the teeth so precisely, they can often move teeth without any attachments at all. And they can be designed to put higher forces on larger teeth and lighter forces on smaller teeth. That means they look better and feel better. So are there drawbacks? Sure. Direct print materials are newer, and with innovation, there are always some challenges. But in my opinion, within the next 5 to 10 years, most of us will be using direct print aligners for the majority of our clear aligner cases. In fact, I already am. So after all that, what really matters? Is Invisalign still the best option? Or is that brand name less important than something else entirely? Let's get to the real takeaway. So Invisalign versus other clear aligner companies, which one's worth it? Honestly, the truth, the aligner brand matters way less than the doctor guiding your treatment. I've personally used 4 or 5 different clear aligner systems over the years, and you know what? Each time, the one I was using felt like the best available option at that moment. As technology evolves, I keep learning, I keep adapting, and I switch when something better comes along. If you're a patient, here's my advice. Don't get too hung up on the brand name. Focus on finding a doctor you trust, because whether it's Invisalign, Angel Aligner, Spark, 3M, ULab, or maybe even some of the newer direct print aligner systems like Lux Creo or Graphy, or maybe even a system that hasn't even launched yet, what really determines your result is the knowledge, skill, and experience of the orthodontist planning and executing your treatment. So wrapping things up, Invisalign deserves credit. They were the pioneer. They pushed this technology into the mainstream and made clear aligners something everyone knows about. But the world of aligners has exploded since then. There are newer materials, newer softwares, newer features, and new companies that are innovating at a faster pace than ever before. So if you're thinking about clear aligners, don't just ask, am I getting Invisalign? Ask, am I working with the right doctor and are they using the best tools available for my case? Because that's really what determines whether your treatment will be comfortable, efficient, and long-lasting. My name is Dr. Jeremy Manueli. Thanks again for watching, and if this video was helpful, be sure to subscribe because like always, your smile is worth doing right. I'll see you in the next one.